Coming to you with a bit of breaking news on Tesla's website. We just had a very big change. And as we move into our final quarter of 2024 here, October 1st, we're starting to see how Tesla is possibly going to be handling this last quarter of the year. And initial impressions, it's probably not the best. But we're going to dive into all those details because some things have changed. And these things that have changed mean it's more expensive now to get into a Tesla than it was just last month. There are some exceptions to that, but first and foremost, Tesla did just completely kill one of the Model 3s altogether. So let's head over to the computer, let's dive into the details and find out why this might not be the best news. So coming over here on Tesla's website, here on the Model 3 landing page, you can see something very big is missing here, and that is, believe it or not, the most affordable Model 3 is no longer on this list. What does that mean? Well, Tesla's no longer offering the rear-wheel drive Model 3 as they had just yesterday and for many years to this point. The rear-wheel drive Model 3 has always been the most affordable one, and if we exclude our $7,500 tax credit at $38,990, it definitely was on paper the cheapest. However, it did not qualify for the tax credit, meaning that the long-range rear-wheel drive, as we can see here, and I remove gas savings, it is actually $34,990. It was $4,000 cheaper to get a lot more car in the long-range rear-wheel drive than it was the standard rear-wheel drive. Not only did you have way less range, but some of the premium features in this car are better. So that is a big change and a big shift from Tesla. Of course, the long-range all-wheel drive Model 3, this is what we had for most of the year, and this was not tax credit eligible either. That is until Tesla finally made some shifts and provided batteries that were compliant for the long-range all-wheel drive. Of course, they've also now started offering this long-range rear-wheel drive with that same battery that you'll have in this long-range all-wheel drive. So these are both qualified for the tax credit, leaving just the rear-wheel drive Model 3 as the only non-tax eligible Model 3 or Model Y. That is a big problem. It is the cheapest model, but it's not the cheapest after the tax credit. That battery from CATL in China has not been qualified, and at least right here, it doesn't seem like that's such a big deal, but this is where it is a big deal. The rear-wheel drive Model 3 was leasing for $299 a month, because when you lease, it's sort of this loophole that allows you to lease a vehicle with that tax credit. So $7,500 goes towards this lease and brings these prices down. And of course, these prices are the same that we saw last month. $389 a month for the long-range rear-wheel drive is now the cheapest lease you can get on a Model 3. It was $299 just yesterday for the rear-wheel drive. Now you can only get the long-range rear-wheel drive, bringing that up almost $100. So that's a big shift, a big increase here, but it doesn't stop there. Unfortunately, the finance deals that we had for the Model 3 have all gone away. So looking over here, if we look, we still have the zero down option available. And for 60 months, we're talking $693 a month. This compares to just yesterday with the special 2.49%. We could have got this for $646 a month or $47 cheaper. And if you ended up bringing the total down payment to 20%, which only included out of your pocket $1,276, it brought the interest rate down to 1.99%. So this is $669 today. Yesterday, this was $616 a month or $53 less per month for that same down payment for 60 months. This interest rate is a big hit in affordability in the Model 3. Now, looking over here at the other interest rate options, at 72 months, you still get 5.29, and at 84, you would get 6.29. So 36 months all the way up to 72 months is 5.29%. Unfortunately, that rate is no longer being bought down. And when we shift over to the Model Y, no major changes here in the lineup of the Model Y and the trims available. And if we look over at the lease, it's still the same lease rates as it was yesterday. However, same deal with financing. This is where things get kind of messy. At zero down, $633 a month. But last month, the zero down rate was 2.49. So instead of $633 a month, this would have been $582 a month, or $51 cheaper. And if you would have brought the total down payment, including tax credit, to 20%, you would have had to bring $1,776. This would have dropped to 1.99%. And it is $604 today, and it was $548 yesterday. So $56 increase here. So over here at 72 months, we can see it is slightly cheaper than the Model Y. And we'll go into more details on why that is here shortly. At the end of the day, all trims of Model 3 are now tax credit eligible. There is no longer an entry-level rear-wheel drive with what used to be called standard range. In fact, after the tax credit, here's your $35,000 Tesla, which is a lot more Model 3 than when the Model 3 originally launched. And over on the Model Y, again, all tax credit eligible. So every Model 3, every Model Y is tax credit eligible at this point in time. Now, just the other day, I talked through some of the deals you could get because of the incentives. And in the Model Y, there was not just a tax credit, but an additional $2,000 on available offers. So the referral credit, so use somebody's referral link, doesn't have to be mine, but do that because you'll get $1,000 off. And the military credit of $1,000 was also available. And that's the same case over here in the Model 3, but the difference is now we no longer have that rear wheel drive. So here's our new stack out. And because of that, when we look at how this used to stack up, we are now going to lose this more expensive rear wheel drive Model 3, more expensive than a long range rear wheel drive Model Y was because of the tax credit. That brings us now more in line with what you would expect, but it's about $2,500 increase to go from a long-range rear-wheel drive Model 3 to a long-range rear-wheel drive Model Y. It is a $500 increase to go from long-range all-wheel drive Model 3 to Model Y, and it is actually more expensive to get a performance Model 3 than it is a performance Model Y. Of course, the refresh makes all these options a little bit more exciting, but the Model Y is so much more car, and that refresh is likely coming right around the corner. And here we are on the eve of We Robot, or the 1010 event out in California. Does this have something to do with that? There certainly could be some case to be made that this has something to do with that. Removing the rear-wheel drive Model 3 is making room for a more affordable Tesla to hit the street very soon. That would be very exciting, but there's no indication yet on what that RoboTaxi is going to look like, or if you're even going to be able to purchase the RoboTaxi. So Tesla is about to show off some pretty cool new tech here in just about a week, and I'm very excited to be able to go to that event and check it out for myself. But looking at this as a whole, Model 3 and Model Y is now more expensive today than it was yesterday. The only exception to that is if you are paying straight cash or you are leasing the vehicle. In those two cases, it's the same price as it was last month, except for if you were looking at the rear-wheel drive Model 3 and you didn't qualify for the tax credit. I think here as we round out the end of the year, there's a lot riding on what the earnings look like just tomorrow. That's going to really help give us an indication of what Tesla's likely to do to help close out the rest of this year. We have the Model Y refresh imminent, of course, and when that comes, it's going to really bring some offers on the Model Y with existing inventory, which we haven't seen in some time. So keep an eye out. I'm sure in the next 15 days or so, we're going to start to see some new offers arrive and some new deals to be had at Tesla. So make sure you're subscribed. You'll hear it here first. I thank you for joining us today, and I can't wait to catch you on the next one.